So I was born in Tehran, Iran,
Yeah.
during the Iran and Iraq War. And I moved to United States when I was 14. My mom was the only one who moved with us. My dad always stayed, and here in the high school years with my mom and my brother. Mm-hmm. And then once I got into the university, I got the acceptance letters. My mom left the country too. So I've been living on my own since I was 17, till I got married.
Do you remember your childhood?
Yeah, I have a pretty good long-term memory, but not a good short-term memory. But I remember a lot from my childhood. And beside the fact that you hear it's a kind of a, I was born into the war. I didn't even know what peace was before the war, till the war stopped, right? Mm. So the war had already started between Iran and Iraq in 1980, and I was born in 82. Mm. So I had an amazing childhood. That was kind of the standard situation, right? So when you're born into it, it is what it is, right? So, but beside the war, I had a fantastic childhood, a great memory.
Do you remember war bombs going off, missiles?
Yeah. Our house, the street over, our house 2 streets over, I believe, got hit by a Scott missile.
What's that?
It's a missile. So it was actually Al-Hussein 2 missiles. It was a modified Scott B missiles that Saddam Hussein had purchased, and gotcha. They don't have any accuracy. So you kind of just pick the city,
It's like a spray and pray.
It was a psychological thing. I think they had a 1 kilometer radius of accuracy. It got hit, and I remember my dad had given me one of my earliest childhood memories is hiding under a couch, and I just remember the view of my mom's hand pulling us out, and she was crying, and me and my brother were under a couch hiding. Wow. And the sirens were going off, and I think something happened there where my dad had a talk with me, and he took us to the rooftop. He took me to the rooftop of the house while the sirens were going off, because I think it was a Friday, which Fridays are holidays in Iran, weekends actually. So he was sleeping and the sirens went off, and I told my dad, hey, we got to go to the basement. And he said, no, it's nothing's going to happen. And I was like, no, we have to go to the basement. Right. So I started freaking out. I was like, no, let's go to the roof. Let's go to the rooftop. Wow. I want to show you, nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, you want to go to the roof? So he got up ready, and then he took me upstairs to the roof, and the sirens were going off, and the missile attack had already happened. Mm. So while we were going up, you could hear the scream, explosions and everything as we were going up. And then when we came out, you could see smoke coming up from parts of the city. Wow. But Tehran is an enormous city. It's a really, really big city. Mm. So we came out, and then he's like, do you see how many houses are out there? And it's Tehran pretty much looks kind of like Mexico City, if you've ever been, but there's a lot of 4 or 5 story homes, at least at that time. Now it's more 10-story homes. But you could see smoke coming out from 10 locations, right? And he was like, do you see that the chances of a bomb hitting our house is really, really low?
Right.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be us. And I believed them. I was like, okay, good.
Which, in hindsight, that sounds pretty scary. There's sirens going off, and
but
there's still a chance.
Yeah, there's still a chance, but it was it made sense to me that okay, it's, as far as you can see is a city, and only 10 places, right? So it was when our neighbor's house got hit. There was a lot of girls that lived in our building, and they would normally everyone would go to the basement, right? That was the core area everyone would go to. And I remember the sirens would go off, and whenever the sirens would go off, it was a fun commotion for me. So it was ooh, okay, we got something to do. There's the missiles are coming. Yeah. It was just PlayStation, right? It was the exciting thing that would happen.
I don't think you maybe you weren't fully connected with the reality of it, because it is. It's
at that age, it was the most exciting thing. There were 2 channels on TV, Channel 1 and Channel 2, and nothing else, right? And those channels were not exciting.
Right.
They played cartoon from 5 to 6, some days in the week. Okay, that was it.
And there's no PlayStation.
There's no PlayStation. Yeah. So the sirens going off is like the highlight of the day, right? Or even the week or the month, because it's not like they're bombing every day.
Right.
So I go downstairs to the basement and I see like 7, 8 girls, like all around the same age, from like, 2-year-old to 9, 10-year-old, and parents are out, right? Parents are working, whatever. Some moms are there. And they're all like in a corner of the room, screaming, crying. And I'm this like little chubby kid come into the center of the room and I'm laughing at them. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen. There's like, no, like, don't worry about it. You guys are a bunch of babies. And then you hear this sound like, ew, and then huge explosion. Wow. And it was like lifted, imagine, from right here, thrown against the wall and dropped on the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it was very close.
Wow.
Like the shock, like was the glasses.
Right.
We were in the basement, so we didn't have glasses.
So these are missiles, not bombs?
These are missiles. Yeah.
Okay, but there's still shock waves with that.
Oh yeah, they would take a building down. They would take one building down.
Right.
So it's that was like the craziest thing, and then also like watching the missiles fly at nighttime. So it would be like that was another kind of a hobby. But beside those, we had a great childhood. I mean, there was a huge generation of kids being born after the Iranian Revolution. So there were so many kids in the streets. There were hundreds of kids in each street, and we would just do our homework after school. All the kids would be in the street, in the backyard, playing different games. It was just such an active, fun, pure childhood in many ways that it was really pleasant. Like, I mean, I don't think I'm scarred.
I mean, that would leave a lot of us very traumatized, and it sounds like you...
There was only one time that I thought maybe I'm traumatized. I lived in Spain. I lived in Madrid for like 6 months. And while we're in Madrid, we went to Valencia. There's a fire festival they have. Like firecrackers. So during that time, and it was so intensely loud, at some point I found myself in the trunk of a car, just like with my hands on my ears, where I was just like, I think I had a panic attack, just how loud and everything was.
Right.
That was the only time where I kind of freaked out from the noise and everything. But overall, I would say great childhood, great parents.